Yeah, thank you. And yeah, welcome and good afternoon from my side. So it's really cool to see so many faces in here. Really like the vibe of this conference. And yeah, so the next 30 minutes, I'm going to share some learnings from our journey at Runtastic throughout the last 7 years. And yeah, actually, as a software engineer, you not only face lots of technical challenges day by day, there are also lots of challenges in terms of social and cultural aspects, right? And so today, I'm not going to talk about how you can write code in an efficient manner. I also won't talk about how to scale your infrastructure to serve 200 million, so it's not only 20 million users, it's 200 million downloads. I won't talk about that, but instead, I'm going to show you best practices regarding social and cultural challenges, because that's the base for everything else, right? And before I start, a quick question into the audience. So who is actively working as a software engineer? So meaning also pushing code to repositories? Okay, so really a lot, so 80%, I would say, very good. And the second question, who is working in an agile development process? Okay, so also definitely the majority and also around 80%. Thank you. Why I'm asking that? Because what I'm talking today is I will cover 6 different aspects and share learnings, what we gained at Runtastic in the last 7 years. But I will also link them to the 12 Agile principles from the Agile Manifesto. So I try to make a link here. And so it's very good to see that we have so many software engineers here, and also most of you are using an Agile development approach. Good. First aspect, live your products. So what does it mean? So from a company perspective, it's very important that people and employees identify with the products the company develops, produces. So that helps a lot if people are really proud of what they are doing, if they understand what the products and services are. Because if you're sitting together then with a product owner as an engineer and you understand, or you have a good understanding of the product, of the business processes, it's much easier to discuss, right? So you're on the same line, and it's much easier to discuss. If you have the good situation that you're developing a B2C product, like we did, it's even an advantage if your employees use your products, right? Because if your employees use your products, they really feel it, and using it on a maybe daily basis or weekly basis, doesn't matter. The more the better, of course, but if they really feel the product in a daily basis, they know exactly what's going on in the product. And so it's much easier, again, to discuss requirements, to discuss improvements about the product. And of course, not everyone has the situation that making a B2C product, or it's not always that easy to really lift the product, like it's the case in our situation. But nevertheless, where it's possible, that's really important. And I'd like to show you one example of Runtastic, what we did during the development of one of our products. So around 1.5 years ago, we launched our Runtastic Results app. So that's an app where you can do strength training just with your body weight. And our promise to the users is that they will transform their body within 12 weeks. So that was our promise, or that was our goal for the project. And during the development of the app, we first had to develop our training plan. And we came up with a 12-week body transformation training plan. And in order to verify our promise, we of course had to try it out first at ourselves. And so we asked all of our employees to join us and to do training together and to really, test the plan, and also we also developed a prototype, also do early testing with the app. So there were some advantages doing that. So of course, we could do fast iterations. So when an engineer did the workout, and he also had or everyone did the workout. We had the prototype here, and yeah, you really know and feel, yeah, what can you do during a workout? So if you're doing push-ups, so what are you able to do in terms of navigation in the app, right? So we could do really fast iterations, give feedback, and improve our prototype, and also adapt the training plan. It was also efficient because we had these short feedback cycles. It was exactly as I said before, really we lived our product, and really all of us, the engineers, felt how a burpee feels, right? And so what the user is feeling when he's actually doing it, and also what is an impact then on the app itself. Yeah, we involved really all employees, and we did, as you have seen on the picture before, we did the training together in our parking garage at Plus City, where our headquarters is. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we met together and did there our training and the development of our product. So that is kind of a showcase what you can do. Again, it's not applicable one-to-one for every product, but to just get some idea what could be done. As I mentioned in the introduction, I'd like to connect my learnings or our learnings with the Agile principles. And the Agile principles, what fits very good here is business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. So what we have in here, it's really business people and developers. They must work together daily. They must work together, right? That's the first aspect. Then daily is the second aspect. So it's not enough to sit together once a month. It's really important to be together on a daily basis. And what I explained before is even an evolution of that statement, because if they are not only working together, but really if developers live the product, that's even an evolution of this Agile principle. But it supports that in a very good way. Good. The next one, the KISS principle. So most of us know that. I think keep it simple, stupid. But yeah, actually it's not always that easy to apply that principle. What does it mean? Actually, we can have a look on it from two sides. So on the one hand side, from product perspective. So from product perspective, for example, we at Runtastic, we always tried to keep our product as easy as possible for our users. So our most known app, our Runtastic app, you take the app, you press the start button, you do your activity, you press the stop button, and everything else is done automatically for you, right? So there's a big start button, there's a big stop button. So really keep it very simple. For those 5% of the users who want to do some advanced configuration, stuff like that, you can provide that option somewhere, but it's important to focus on your main user group, right? So that's the product perspective. But even more important for us here is the engineering perspective. So as engineers, yeah, on the one hand side, we know the term over-engineering, and so we have to be careful here to not over-engineer our solutions, what we do. So what we have learned at Runtastic is that, of course, we are as software engineers, we are responsible to build a solid, to build an extendable, to build a reusable components and architecture. But on the other hand, we don't always have to build everything in the most generic way, because requirements will change for sure in the future. And that will, yeah, it will be totally different, and it's not worth the effort at the beginning, what you have to put into to build everything in a very generic, in a very extensible way. So this effort is sometimes not worth it. So, and actually that's kind of the art of engineering, to find this thin line between building a solid, stable, extendable components or architecture, but also to not over-engineer, right? So finding this fine lane is kind of key. The other thing is also what we have learned is don't try to build a Swiss Army knife, right? So when you think about the future, the requirements will again change over the months, over the years. So really focus on one aspect. I have an example from Runtastic. So we have a records feature at Runtastic, so where you see your personal bests.
So you see your records for your longest run, for example, or your fastest run. And when we worked on that feature, we came up with 100 different records, and we thought, okay, that would be cool, and that would be cool, and that would be cool. So it was really up to 100, or close to 100. But at the end, we implemented just 12, and we still have just these 12 different types, right? So even it would be a bit difficult probably to show in the user interface so many different records. So it again shows that, yeah, don't try to build everything at once. And here we are again at the Agile principle, right? Iterate, fast iterations, but don't try to build everything at once. There's a perfect matching Agile principle for that as well. So the Agile principle says simplicity is essential, and it describes simplicity a bit more like it's the art of maximizing the amount of work not done, right? And so also we as software engineers, we have to apply that in many different dimensions. So whether it's about our architecture design, as mentioned before, it's also about documentation, right? So we don't, it's important to do documentation, to do knowledge sharing and stuff like that, but we don't have to overdo it. So fit it to the purpose, keep it simple. But it also applies to your, I don't know, to your Scrum, to your weekly Scrum goals, or to the tasks, what you have to do in a Scrum, or in a bi-weekly sprint, for example. Keep the amount of work, or keep the tickets in progress to a limited amount, right? It does not work that you work in parallel on 6, 7 different tickets, right? So really also apply this principle there. Good. Next one, very important. Ship it. That's actually one of the, again, most difficult things to do. It sounds easy. Yes, of course. Yes, of course, we'd like to ship our product, but actually it's a hard way and not so easy to ship it. So it's really about execution. So it's not about talking, not about going to all the events, going to all the networking events and talking a lot. It's really about execution, right? Because at the end, you're building something for your customers. And that's the goal, that through software engineering, we are building something for the end customer. And so it's very important to always have this goal in mind. We are building something for the end customer. How can we, what is important for execution? So I think it's, on the one hand side, a clear focus. So being focused, having clear goals. So having measurable goals, and to really focus all your work and all your attention to the goal what you want to achieve. And so that's one aspect. So really set goals also for you as a developer when you're working on a sprint. Set the sprint goal. So what is the main objective of the sprint, and really focus on that. Then you will also generate, I think, the most output and the biggest outcome. What is, I think, also a learning from our side is to apply also the Pareto principle. So Pareto says, with 80% of the results can be done with 20% of the effort, or vice versa, right? So it's so that's always very important as well. So to think really, what is the feature set, or what is the functionality most of your users need, and then work on those. And that's again focusing on that topics. And so I think that's what we have learned. It helps really to deliver that what your customers want to see then. To put it in other words, this is a slide from Derek Sievers, the founder of CD Baby, back in 1998. So he said, an idea is nothing without the proper execution, right? And he so for the idea, he assigned, you see it here, some values which really are in a small range, like from -1 to 20, right? But the big impact is really the execution. And business is idea times execution, he says. And I think that's very true. And so the best idea does not help anything without the execution. And of course, one key element for execution is also your team. And I will come to that at a later stage as well. Applying that to the Agile principles, or finding the suitable Agile principle, it's the Agile principle #1, which says, our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. So that's Agile principle #1, and reflects also in a very good way what I said before. So what is in here? It's delivery. So it's a synonym for ship it. It even says continuous delivery. Like we know, we'd like to do fast iterations. And it says to satisfy the customer, right? So we are not building software for the sake of developing the software, right? So it's really, we want to satisfy some customer's need. And it does not help that we build the best, most elegant technical architecture if we don't solve a real customer problem with that. So always keep that in mind, because sometimes we as engineers, sometimes we are a bit lost in or not lost, but a bit too, too focused on our technical solutions and how they are and how good and elegant they are. But the end, what really matters is that we satisfy the customer. Good. The next aspect I'd like to talk about is communication. And yeah, communication is probably one of the most difficult things in mankind. So it's not about only for software engineers. But as a software engineer, we are coding, right? But for a huge portion of our time, we are also communicating. We're communicating a lot. We're communicating on our Slack channels, we are communicating via email, we are communicating in our sprint meetings, we are communicating in our pair programming sessions. So it's really a lot about communicating. And therefore, it's important that we also have in mind that communication is really very crucial for the success. So communication is difficult, I said. Why is it so difficult? I think on the one hand side, we have really many different communication channels. I said before, so there is instant messaging, there is email, there is direct face-to-face communication. So it's so many different channels, and for some situation, one channel is better suited than the other channel. And for example, if you send an email, you don't know in which mood your recipient is, and he might read the email in a completely different way than you have thought, right? And so it's, I think, very important to always really choose the right communication channel. And what the Agile Manifesto says to that is, the most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is face-to-face conversation. So here they even go further and say, okay, it's really face-to-face communication. So when you have a chance, always convey the information to the development team and also within the development team face-to-face. So what also we have done at Runtastic, so we have switched to full cross-functional teams around 9 months ago, and really people who work together in kind of a squad, they are sitting together, and so we enable also this face-to-face communication. Of course, it's not always possible, so we are living in a distributed world. We are living, some people working there, some people working there, but nevertheless, we have technical capabilities that we can enable this face-to-face conversation. Good. the next principle, embrace flexibility and change. So I think most of you might remember a situation where maybe the product owner approached you shortly before finishing a feature. Maybe we can change that feature a bit and adjust it here and there a bit. And yeah, at the beginning, I think everybody from us reacts like, yeah, why now? Why so late? Why didn't you come up earlier with that, right? But on the other hand, I think we have no option, so we have to embrace flexibility and change. So we are living in such a fast-paced environment. So there are technologies coming up, and the progress is so fast than never before. So I think we have no other option to embrace this flexibility and change mindset. So it's really a mindset thing. And you as a software engineer, or we as a software engineers, have to be open for that, right? And also at Runtastic, so sometimes when there is, I always tell the example when we are approached by our partners or by Apple and Google, like there is some big opportunity coming up. So Apple says, okay, if you can do that and that within 2 weeks, then you might get, I don't know, we have maybe, so you don't get promised anything from Apple, but they say maybe there is an opportunity for something to showcase it somewhere. So if you have these opportunities, and these opportunities are all around, and it's not only from Apple, but there are so many opportunities. Sometimes it's necessary to embrace this flexibility. On the one hand side, we have to focus, like mentioned before, but sometimes it's also important to embrace this flexibility, to stop your current sprint, and then you have to switch to something different because there is an opportunity. There is an Agile principle which says exactly that. So it says, welcome changing requirements, even late in development, and Agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. So it's in here, it says, okay, even if there are late changes, like described before, they are welcome, right? Because at the end, and that's what it says also, it's for the customer's competitive advantage again. So like said before, in the section about shipping the product, should be really for the customer's competitive advantage. Good. Last but not least, team. So we as software engineers, and when we are developing software, it's definitely not a one-man or one-woman show. It's definitely a collaborative approach, and it's really, to say it in sports words, it's really kind of a team sport. Yeah, and the team is really the basis for everything else. So we are all people, we are all humans, we all have feelings. So it's really the base for everything what is built on top. And what we have learned at Runtastic, and what we applied in a very early stage of Runtastic, is that we defined our culture. So the way how we are working, our Runtastic values. So what are the values which are the basis for all of our collaboration? And we did that at a very early stage, I think in 2010 already. Our first employee, Stefan, he approached us founders and said, hey, that would be a good idea. At the beginning I thought, why do we need that? Why do we need values? I mean, we are 5 or we are 10 people. I mean, we don't need this. But it turned out quite soon that is very important, right? And I'd like to show you a brief history about what was important for us. So our team, that's a picture from 2012. So we were about 25 employees back at that time in 2012. And luckily also 20 out of these 25 are still working at Runtastic. But back at that time, it's quite easy. So everyone knows everyone else, and there is the same feeling, the same spirit, the same startup mentality. So everything is good, right? But we grew in a very fast pace, and that's a picture from 2014 then. So where we did a trip together. That's actually a picture from Mallorca, because we did the trip to Mallorca. I'll come to that a bit later. But here we already see, okay, it's 100 employees. So it's already much more difficult here to align everyone, to have a common mindset across all the employees. And what I also want to mention here is, when you are a team, it's also time to celebrate success. And that's exactly what we did here. So never forget to celebrate success. So that's a bit similar to praise someone. So I think we most often forget to praise someone else's work, but actually that's very important. And it's also very important to celebrate your success. And that's exactly what we did here, because we defined some goals for the year 2013. And when we said, okay, if we reach these goals, then we are doing a trip to somewhere. And actually, we did that then in May 2014. Yeah, right now we are over 200 people, so we just crossed that mark. We are from 35 different nationalities. So again, here we have cultural differences, but at the end we are one team, so that's always very important, acting as one team, and I think that's also very important for you to really bring that mindset, acting as one team, so there should be no silos within your teams, so it's really about one team working towards one company vision. And yeah, we also have another description for the word team. So we always say together everyone achieves more. So it's really about collaboration, and it's really about 1 plus 1 is not 2, but 1 plus 1 is 3, right? So really together everyone achieves more. Good. I also want to show you our Runtastic values. So we have defined 7 values for Runtastic. The first one being the most important, be a strong part of the Runtastic team, because that's at the end, what matters, being really acting as one team. So there is no clear other order of the values, but that is our value, which is most important. Coming in last time to a matching Agile principle, and the matching Agile principle is build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. So what do we have in here? So it's on the one hand side motivated individuals. Of course we need that. We need motivated people to work on topics. It also says give the environment and the support. So we have to define some framework, like with the values, right? So we have to provide the environment and the support, but then trust them to get the job done. And what is also in here is, again, get the job done. So that's, again, ship it, execute it, do it. All right. I'd like to close with a slide. So I talked about a lot, doing that, improving here, doing that. At the end, nobody of us is perfect, and what really matters is that we make progress. But yeah, it's not about being perfect, but making progress. So like also in sports, so we are not all marathon runners, right? So, but we don't need to be all marathon runners. It's important to make progress, but it's not about being perfect. And yeah, if you want to support Runtastic in making progress, we are looking always for new talent, new candidates. Also now in our new Vienna office. So if you want to support us on our journey, we also have a booth here. So feel free to stop by to learn a bit more how we are working, to talk with our employees. So many of them are here. And yeah, by that I say thank you and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
So I think we have 2 more minutes, maybe, or I don't know.
Yeah. If you wanna answer
if there
some
are
questions.
if there are any questions.
Are there any questions
from
where
the
I
audience?
can get too fast? Do I see hands? Do you see hands?
Do I see hands?
I mean, I see hands, but they're not risen. So, all right. So then, I guess it's fine. But we will see you again at the Okay.
Is it difficult for a startup in Austria to get like well known internationally, or to export your business internationally?
I think, I mean, now in our digital age, so it never has been easier than now, right? Because I mean, we are in the app industry. I mean, here it's especially quite easy because you have the App Store, which is available in the whole world. So, but of course, it's not like you have to invest also to get known in other countries. It's not like, okay, you put your app in the store and you will immediately be known in the whole world. But definitely there are the channels available to make it definitely easier. And yeah, so it was never easier than now, I would say.
Nice. What would interest me is, do you also do some onboarding processes, or do you just like test it with your team and then just give it out, or do you have also like onboarding processes where it says, oh, you have a new feature that would be here or stuff like that, or do you just
within our
approach it?
product?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So if there is a new update with a new feature coming out, then we also kind of guide the user to use that. Yeah.
All right. Anyone else? There.
Very good.
All right. Last question.
Hi, could you describe how do you do software testing, automatic testing or manual testing?
Good question. So the question was, how do we do testing? Actually, with mobile automated testing, it's still, I would say, early days, early years. So there is, compared to web testing, so that's more advanced. Right now, we have a big focus on doing automated tests, because we think that's important for making our CI/CD approach working at the end. So we invest a lot here, but we don't have automated tests for everything and everything. So historically, we always have been testing a lot manually, because it was also with our app, using lots of sensors, using GPS, using that sensor, so it was also not that easy to automate that stuff. But now we are investing a lot in order to make continuous delivery and happen and possible. Yeah.
All right, then. Thank you. Thank you, Christian.
You're welcome.